I'm from a farming family myself. In fact, I'm a small landowner in the west of Ireland, and I come from generations of small farmers from County Mayo and County Galway, which some of you will be familiar with, and some of you should get familiar with because they're great places to visit. I believe that the Common Agricultural Policy and that the agricultural policy across all of Europe needs to particularly work for farming families, for those small and medium-sized farmers who provide us with safe, clean, secure food supplies, and that the Common Agricultural Policy has got to work for them. Coming from a farming family myself, I am acutely aware of what the issues are, and if we do not ensure that we have the cultural roots, the diversity of production, the choice that small farmers provide consumers in France and all over Europe, and the cultural uniqueness of some of these products. I mean, since when has it been a good idea for rosé wine to be a mixture of red and white wine together? And maybe from the west of Ireland, but even I know the difference. And so I want to see a common agricultural policy that does not involve clearing farming families from the land and failing farming families in terms of locking them into low incomes and turning them into paper-pushing bureaucrats. The farm that my father grew up on, they farmed. They didn't process piles of paperwork. I think farmers who are good at farming want to farm. I think there's too much red tape and regulation. I know it as a farmer. And just because it's the Irish Times that's asking, I would also add that culturally, and I know Frédéric and I share so many concerns in this area. You take, Frédéric mentioned the so-called some of these so-called environmental protections, some of them that end up completely discriminating against people who depend on, in Ireland we cut turf, in the part of Ireland I come from, it's peat. And we use it as fuel. Some families depend on it for heating, especially in the days of high oil costs and an oncoming economic hurricane and recession. Yes, Brussels is telling us that those families will have to stop cutting fuel that heats their homes. And if any of you manage to visit the west of Ireland, while you still can, before Brussels closes all of our bogs, when that smell of that turf that burns, which is something uniquely Irish, when it strikes your olfactory senses, but it grabs your heart, if you're Irish, it's part of our culture. I got to know my grandfather as a boy cutting turf on the bogs in the west of Ireland. Him smoking his pipe, me standing beside him helping him. God forbid that my sons and their sons and my daughters never get to know what that means, the relationships that are bound there under a hot summer sun, working together in the same way that we've worked for generations. And that's something that these paper-pushing, unelected bureaucrats in Brussels have no comprehension of.